Okay, change the goals. As I mentioned in my introduction, I grew up in a very small town in Virginia, population about 300 people. Can you imagine a place that small? And people laugh when I tell the story, but the reason I know it's about 300 people, when I was writing my book, I went back home to talk to an elderly gentleman who's 90 years old now. And he's been there all his life. He was there in the years she talking about. I asked him if he remembered about how many people were in that town during that time. He says, yeah, it was like 200 people. He said, the reason I know it was I was in the military, and I was stationed overseas in India, and I told him where I was from. I'm from Boston, Virginia. And this man came with this map, a little book he had, and he said, he looked at it, I guess it was something from the census, and he said, wow, nobody lives there, only about 200 people. How many people live there? He's about right. It's a very small town. But even then, as a child, I had dreams that were small dreams. I didn't like living on the farm. We had a subsistence. My father was a subsistence farmer, which meant we grew everything we ate. So my dream at that time was to leave this farm, go to the big city, get me a good job, meet Prince Charming, and live happily ever after. And at 18, I went to the big city. I went to New York City. Now, can you imagine me going from a little town with about 200 people to New York City and trying to find a job? And I can tell you, I thought my dream job would be working in some office, but can you imagine, and actually I'll tell you what year it was, this was 1958. They weren't hiring black women working in offices. And here I was, 18 years old. I had typing skills, so I thought the world was waiting for me. I could not find a job. I finally got a job working as a maid for a family living on Fifth Avenue. Hated it. But it taught me something, it showed me something. I got to see how people live with their money. And I liked what I saw. And I said, I want to be like that. Now, I'm not the Fifth Avenue, I haven't got to that level, but I had some idea of what I was trying to do then. I had actually no idea how it was going to happen, though. But I still had this dream, somehow I was going to make this happen. Finally got a job as a clerk typist in Macy's department store. I had to make up some references of where I had worked in order to get the job, but I needed the job. But then it finally dawned on me that I couldn't get very far doing what I was doing. I needed an education. Now, my mother wanted me to go to college when I left home, but there was no money. And I had this drool. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to go to the city. I finally dawned on me that my mother was right. I needed an education, but I still had no money. But then I still had this dream and this passion, and I was going to find a way to do it. So once you have a passion to do something, and you have a direction to go to get that goal, you'll find a way to get it done. See, my mother had instilled in me as a child that she had instilled in me this love of learning. I love to read and the thirst for adventure. And I was very adventurous. Just going to New York was an adventure for me. And she told me that I could do anything I wanted to do if I wanted to do it badly enough. Well, I finally got to the point I wanted it badly enough that I was going to take some steps to do it. Finally applied to college, got scholarships and loans, and that's where I met what I call my guardian angel, a mentor in college, one of the professors. And I have no idea why he took me on his wing, but he probably saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And the same happened to you. There are people around you who can see things in you and know you can do things that even you don't think you can do. So you just need to draw on that wisdom and take advantage of that situation. This is the person who instilled in me that I had the intelligence and every right to go to Harvard. He had gone there in the 30s, one of the first black men to get an MBA there. I had no intention of going, didn't dream of going, but he kept telling me that's where I needed to go. So I finally applied to Harvard Business School and got accepted. Now this was in the 60s. The environment in this country then was very tumultuous. There was the civil rights movement, the sit-ins in colleges, the Vietnam War, all kinds of political things were going on. And I had never even been to Boston. I'd never been to Harvard. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. And when I got there, I said, what have I done? Why am I here? How am I going to make it to this place? The work was extremely difficult. The environment was not extremely friendly. There were 800 students in the first year class, 17 women, and 6 blacks. The faculty were all white men, no women, no people of color at all. So I said, oh my gosh, what is this going to be like? But I was at the point I couldn't turn back. I had responsibility with so many people to go forward. And it was not an easy 2 years, but I made it through. And it was a feeling of real accomplishment. Now when I went, I had no idea I'd be the first black woman to go to work. And it's probably best I didn't, because I probably would not have gone. I found out later, and I said, oh gosh. But it was a very rewarding experience, and it helped me craft things in my life, and it also opened doors for me that I'm sure would not have been open had I not gone there. So I was in a position to take advantage of situations that I probably would not have faced had I not gone there. So sometimes you don't know why things happen the way they happen, or even when they happen. And maybe it was better for me I was out of undergraduate 4 years before I went to college. And that was a good move for me too, because had I gone to college right out of high school, I probably would not have done very well, because my mind was not set on being there. But when I went back, I had a purpose in mind. I was 4 years older than most freshmen, and at that age, 4 years is a lot. So I'm wondering, why am I here with these 17, 18-year-olds? And I'm 22, and I've been out in the world. We don't have a lot in common. My purpose was not there to socialize or to have a good time. My purpose was to get an education. And I had scholarship, but I had loans. I had borrowed money for undergraduate and borrowed money for my graduate school. So when I got out of college, I was knee-deep in debt. And I worked part-time, the whole time I was an undergraduate. So I did not have a lot of fun in college, but had I gone early, I probably would have had a lot of fun and not much education. So things have happened for a reason. Now, over the years that I've had a lot of experiences, some very good and some not so good, but I've learned something from all of those. And I think everything that happens to you, you should take something away from that of value. And because of those experiences, I have crafted over the years what I call my guiding principles, which are on the bookmarks that you have here. Those are principles I live by. And I'd just like to briefly talk about a couple of those. One that I like, that I sort of practice, success is a journey, not a destination. And for me, that's a path that I'm still traveling. I have not reached success yet. That's a journey. It means continuing to deal with challenges and obstacles in your life and handle those in such a way. So you should never get to the point where you can sit back on your laurels and say, I have made it. There's always more to do and things to happen. Defeat is not an option. We all get knocked down, but the question is, do you stay down or do you get up and try it again? Now, I've had a lot of defeats in my life. Matter of fact, when I applied to the Harvard Business School, I didn't take it very seriously. I was applying because the teacher told me. And when I submitted my application, they turned me down. Well, that really made me want to go. They turned me down because I didn't score high enough on the graduate management admission test. Well, I didn't even study for it. I didn't take it very seriously. Well, then when they told me I couldn't come, I said, okay, I'm going to study for the test, take the test again, submit my application, and I did, and I got in the next year. So don't let things defeat you because somebody says you can't do it. And those of you who are in business, there'll be a lot of people who tell you the things that you can't do as a business person. You know, why are you doing this? Oh, you can't do this, or if it can be done, it shouldn't be done by you. Well, you can't listen to those naysayers, because if you do, you will not fulfill your dream. And what it is you're passionate about, if you enjoy what you're doing, you do a much better job.